Welcome. This series of 5 presentations was developed to educate families about recent updates to annotated evaluation and reevaluation report forms. While the law has not changed, changes were made to the annotated report forms in early 2016. Annotated forms are designed to provide notes for better understanding of each section of the forms. Where can you find the handouts that accompany this presentation? They are on Peel's website and Patent website. On many slides, you will find a folder icon in the upper right-hand corner, which tells you the handouts that support the information on that slide. This is Part 2, which focuses on the Permission to Evaluate form for the initial evaluation. We have divided the content into 5 parts of 15 to 30 minutes each. We recommend that the viewer watch the parts in order as the information builds from one to the next. The 5 parts of the series are listed on this slide. As you can see, Part 2, which is highlighted, reviews in depth the form and process involved in requesting and providing permission for a child to be evaluated for special education services for the first time. Throughout this presentation series, the word parent refers to parent or guardian. The Permission to Evaluate form is provided by the Pennsylvania Department of Education to school districts for their use. School districts are permitted to add information to the form or put the form onto their own letterhead, so the form you receive may look exactly like the one we are sharing. If your child already has an IEP, then you and your child have already gone through this process of an initial evaluation. Part 5 of this series addresses the reevaluation process if you are interested in learning more about that process. If you are viewing these presentations for your own information and your child already has an IEP, then you may wish to skip this part. However, if you want to learn about the entire process so that you can assist and/or advocate with other families, you will definitely want to view this part. When a student is struggling in school, there is a formal process for initiating an evaluation for special education services and obtaining consent from the family. As a result of this presentation, we hope that you will be able to describe the process for requesting an initial evaluation for special education services for a child, and describe how to respond when the school district initiates a request to evaluate a child to see if they are eligible for special education services. When a parent requests an initial evaluation and the school agrees, then the school issues this form to obtain parent consent to conduct an evaluation. The date when the signed Permission to Evaluate consent form is received by the school starts the 60 calendar day timeline in which the evaluation must be completed. Parents may be told that there is a waiting list for services. If you are told that, there should be no waiting list for an evaluation. School districts often provide additional help in regular education classes for students who are struggling. This kind of extra help is called many names, one of which is RTI, Response to Intervention, which is a common name. These extra efforts provided in regular education should not be a barrier for a parent request for their child to be evaluated. Parents may need to be assertive in some cases to get the school district to issue the Permission to Evaluate form, but it is a parent's right to request it if they feel an evaluation is needed. If your district refuses to evaluate, they must issue a NOREP, a Notice of Recommended Educational Placement, and provide the reason or reasons why they are refusing. Parents have a right to disagree with the NOREP and exercise their rights to get the dispute resolved. The annotated NOREP explains this in more detail. As you can see in the upper right-hand corner, you can see the folder icon that we referenced. On page 1 of the annotated evaluation report, the critical dates and timelines are reviewed. You can learn more about this topic by looking at the other handouts. Some core vocabulary on this slide: Notice of Recommended Educational Placement, NOREP/prior written notice, is the last part of the evaluation process. It indicates agreement with the action taken. If a parent suspects that their child may have a disability and would benefit from specially designed instruction, they should inform a school professional, which could be a teacher, a counselor, an administrator, or even a psychologist. Most requests are verbal, but to ensure this process has a set beginning, a parent should put their request in writing and keep a copy of that written request. Be sure that the written request is dated. School districts have a responsibility to identify students needing special education. This is called Child Find, and schools do this in various ways, from publishing information on their website or newsletters to outlining the steps that teachers and administrators must take when they have a concern that a child may be in need of special education services. The first step that a school district must take if they think a child may need special education services is to issue a permission to evaluate consent form to the family so that the family can provide informed consent. Consent is defined as the parent agreeing with the school to do an initial evaluation, and the parent signs to show that they understand the types of tests, assessments, and evaluations that will be given to the student specifically for the purposes of the evaluation. A family should not be surprised by receiving a permission to evaluate consent form. The school should be communicating with the family about the types of concerns that would lead to issuing a permission to evaluate form for a child for special education services. If a family receives a permission to evaluate consent form and it takes them by surprise, they should ask questions of the school and consider contacting Peel or another one of the workgroup partners that we introduced in the beginning of this presentation. All of the partners are able to provide assistance and support families through this process and answer any questions. Although a parent has the right to refuse an offer of an evaluation for their child, if the parent refuses the offer for an evaluation, the school may take the parent to due process or move to dispute resolution. It is not mandated that the school take the parent to due process when a parent refuses an evaluation. Again, you may want to call Peel or one of the partners for questions. Their contact information is on the last slide.
Parents should never feel pressured into signing a permission to evaluate consent form, but parents should know the reason why the school district feels an evaluation is needed. A two-way conversation to understand the supports that a child needs to be successful in school benefits the student. Sometimes those conversations may lead to solutions. It's important to know that A, there are timelines for the process, and B, where you can find the information. The initial evaluation must be completed and the evaluation report given to parents within 60 calendar days of the date that the parent provided written consent. 60 days is calendar days, except for the summer break. Staff and in-service days are counted as part of the 60-day timeline. The December holiday break is counted in the 60 days. During the time in which the initial evaluation is being completed, the school should continue to provide any additional interventions that have been put into place. A school may be implementing response to intervention to try different strategies to help a child learn. However, This does not preclude an evaluation for special education. Again, look in the upper right-hand corner folder icon to follow along in the Annotated Evaluation Report. The information in the evaluation report is used to develop the initial IEP, or Individualized Education Program, for the student, if the student qualifies for special education. In Part 3 of this series, we will review the evaluation report in depth.
Let's stop and think about what these last few slides on parent request versus school request might mean to your child, your situation. Cindy, what do you think are some reasons why a parent would want to request or not request an evaluation?
Well, if my child were struggling with academics or with behavior, I think I would ask the school to do an evaluation to find out what needs my child might have.
What if the school sent a permission to evaluate consent form for your child? Would you agree or not agree?
Again, I think that would depend. If I felt my child needed more support than they were currently getting in the classroom, I would probably agree. There are also some circumstances where I might feel that the school could provide more help in the general education class, like to just move him to the front of the room. Now, families, think about your own situation.
In your case, has a request for evaluation been made? If so, who requested it? Why? If a request has not been made, are you thinking about requesting an evaluation? Why or why not? Did you or would you agree to a request for evaluation of your child? Why or why not?
There are a lot of different decisions that have to be made. If you have questions that are specific to your own experiences, please refer to the partner's contact page for more help. Let's review the key points to remember from Part 2. A parent who suspects that their child might need special education services can request an initial evaluation. Parents must sign a permission to evaluate consent form in order for the school to conduct an initial evaluation for special education services. A parent has the right to disagree with the school district's proposal for an initial evaluation, but a school district may pursue due process. An initial evaluation must be completed and evaluation report provided to the parents within 60 calendar days. You've completed Part 2 of this series. We recommend that the viewer watch the parts in order as the information builds from one to the other. The next topic focuses on the evaluation process.